Have you ever wondered why we often take things for granted? Why do we overlook the good things in our lives until they're gone? Now, imagine if those things, your home, your loved ones, your health, vanished tomorrow. Scary, right? But what if I told you that picturing this loss could actually make you happier, more grateful, and more at peace? This powerful idea comes from the ancient Stoic practice of negative visualization. Let's take a moment to really understand negative visualization. It might sound unusual. Why would we ever want to imagine losing the things we love? But let's look closer. This technique is rooted in Stoic philosophy, and it's surprisingly powerful. You see, most of us live our lives constantly wanting more. We focus on the things we don't have, or the things we think we need to be happier. We look at our lives and say, if only I had that promotion, or if only I could travel more, then I'd be happy. We're trained by society, by advertisements, and even by the culture around us to focus on more, more, more. This mindset keeps us looking forward, searching for happiness somewhere just out of reach. But the Stoics, the ancient philosophers who developed this approach, noticed something important. They realized that happiness isn't in what we could gain. It's actually in appreciating what we already have. And sometimes, the best way to appreciate something is to imagine life without it. That's where negative visualization comes in. Now, when we say negative visualization, we don't mean thinking negatively about yourself or putting yourself down. It's more of a mental exercise, like training your mind. In this exercise, you gently imagine what life would be like without the things that bring you joy, security, and comfort. It's a technique that helps shift your focus from what you lack to what you already have. Let's break it down. Imagine waking up one morning, and instead of following your usual routine, you stop and think, what if I didn't have this cozy bed, this home, this warm cup of coffee waiting for me? Imagine if you didn't have your job, the roof over your head, or the people you love. Picture your life if even one of these things was suddenly taken away. Why do this? Because this small act of imagining can shift your perspective in a big way. When you picture your life without these comforts, your mind starts to appreciate them more deeply. Suddenly, that bed isn't just a bed. It's a gift, a comfort, something to be grateful for. That coffee in your hand isn't just your morning coffee. It becomes something warm, satisfying, something to savor. The people around you aren't just there. They're meaningful, precious parts of your life. And these moments become richer because you can see what life would be without them. For example, think about your family or friends. We often take the people we care about for granted. We get so used to their presence that we assume they'll always be there. But if we practice negative visualization, we stop and reflect. What would life be like if they weren't here? Not because we're trying to worry or feel anxious, but because this thought can make us cherish them even more. It can lead us to show them more kindness, spend more time with them, and let them know how much they mean to us. And when we feel this deeper appreciation, it's like we're experiencing a new level of happiness with them. Or take your health, for example. It's easy to overlook our health until something goes wrong, until we catch a cold, injure ourselves, or deal with stress. But if we think about what life would be like without our good health, we might start treating ourselves better. We might take time to rest, to eat nourishing foods, and to move our bodies. Negative visualization isn't about making us feel bad. It's about encouraging us to live better, more intentionally, and with gratitude. Imagine doing this regularly, maybe once a day, or even just once a week. Practicing this technique can lead us to feel more grounded. Instead of feeling restless or unsatisfied with what we have, we begin to see the value in each part of our lives. That feeling of not enough starts to fade because we're focusing on the richness of what we already have. In today's world, it's easy to get lost in comparison and desire. We're constantly scrolling through social media, seeing snapshots of other people's lives and thinking, wow, their life looks amazing. I wish I had that. But what if, instead of comparing our lives to others, we practiced negative visualization? What if, instead of wanting more, we reminded ourselves of the good we already have? It doesn't mean we can't aim for goals or improve our lives, but it helps us build a foundation of happiness that isn't shaken by what we don't have. Negative visualization also prepares us for the future. Life is unpredictable, and sometimes things change or are taken away from us. When we practice this Stoic technique, we're training our minds to handle change better. We start to become more resilient because we're already familiar with the idea that life won't always stay the same. This mental preparation doesn't make us pessimistic. Instead, it builds inner strength, making us more adaptable to whatever life brings. Here's an example that might resonate. Think of a time when you lost something you once took for granted. Maybe it was a friendship, a job, or even just a sense of freedom. When it was gone, you might have felt a wave of regret, wishing you had appreciated it more when you had it. Negative visualization helps us avoid those moments of regret. It gives us the chance to appreciate things now, to say, I'm grateful for this, before it's too late. So, to sum it up, negative visualization isn't about creating sadness or anxiety. It's about sparking gratitude. It's about realizing that what we have now, even the smallest things, are gifts. And by doing this regularly, we can start to see our lives in a whole new light, a light that reveals the beauty of the present moment. When we approach life this way, we naturally feel more peaceful and satisfied. We're no longer constantly looking for something outside ourselves to feel happy, because we've learned to recognize the happiness within our lives as they are. And isn't that a beautiful shift? This is the power of negative visualization. It teaches us to stop chasing after happiness and start experiencing it in the here and now. Let's go through how to practice negative visualization in a simple, practical way. This is a skill you can build gradually, and with each practice it'll become easier to appreciate the richness of what's already in your life. First, choose something that holds meaning for you. It could be anything: your job, a friend, a hobby, or even something as small as your morning coffee ritual. Think of something that brings a bit of joy, comfort, or stability to your life. Now, take a few deep breaths and imagine, just for a moment, what life would feel like without it. Picture it disappearing and ask yourself questions to go a little deeper. What would you miss about it? How would your day feel without it? Imagine, for example, that you've chosen to think about a close friend. Picture what your life would feel like if they weren't around. Not to create sadness, but simply to highlight the positive impact they have. You might realize how much their laughter brightens your day, or how their advice has helped you through tough times. Notice any feelings that come up. Maybe gratitude, maybe warmth. Let yourself fully feel this appreciation. Or think about a simple comfort, like your morning coffee. Imagine a morning where instead of your favorite drink, you have nothing. Take a moment to really feel what that would be like. Picture the quiet moment you usually spend sipping coffee. How different would your day feel without that peaceful start? Now, as you come back to reality, notice how that simple coffee feels a little more special, something you might not take for granted again. The key here isn't to dwell on sadness or fear. Instead, negative visualization is about connecting deeply to the things that enrich our lives, recognizing their value in a way that makes us feel grateful and present. Another tip is to set aside a specific time to practice this. You might try it first thing in the morning or right before bed, times when it's quiet and you're less likely to be distracted. You could even make it a small part of your daily routine, maybe just a few minutes to reflect on something or someone in your life, imagining what it would feel like if they weren't there. With each time you do this, you may notice yourself naturally feeling more appreciative throughout the day. Negative visualization is like a mental exercise for building gratitude, and like any skill, it gets stronger the more you practice. You may even find yourself starting to appreciate the things around you without intentionally doing this exercise, noticing the beauty in everyday moments. Over time, practicing negative visualization can change the way you experience life. It helps to keep you grounded, making it easier to recognize the good around you. And in those moments when challenges or hardships do come, this technique gives you a foundation of gratitude and resilience to handle them with a clearer, more balanced mind. Now that we've gone through what negative visualization is and how to practice it, let's talk about the impact it can have on your life. You might be wondering, does imagining loss really make that much of a difference? The answer is yes, and in more ways than one. Practicing negative visualization isn't just about feeling grateful. It has a ripple effect on our mindset, resilience, and overall sense of happiness. Let's start with gratitude. When we regularly practice this technique, we naturally become more appreciative of what we have. By imagining life without our loved ones, our health, or even small comforts, we're reminded of their value. And that gratitude seeps into everything we do. Everyday moments, sharing a meal, enjoying fresh air, or laughing with friends, start to feel a bit richer, like small treasures we may have overlooked before. But there's more to it. Practicing negative visualization can also make us stronger in the face of challenges. Life is full of unexpected changes, and many of them are out of our control. By occasionally imagining life without certain comforts or relationships, we're training our minds to handle loss and change more gracefully. Instead of feeling panicked when something shifts, we've already prepared ourselves in a way. This doesn't mean we won't feel sadness or loss. We're human after all. But it does mean we're better equipped to face life's ups and downs. Think of it like strengthening a muscle. The more you practice negative visualization, the stronger your resilience becomes. You're developing the ability to appreciate the present while also accepting that things can change, and that acceptance is freeing. Instead of fearing what might happen, you're embracing the present, knowing you're ready for whatever comes next. Another benefit is how this practice can ease anxiety. Often we feel anxious about losing things or about things we wish we had. Negative visualization gently shifts our mindset, helping us find peace with what we have right now. When we stop constantly reaching for more, we're able to live in the present moment, and that can be incredibly calming. It allows us to focus on what's real, not just on what's possible or what might go wrong in the future. And here's one of the most beautiful effects of negative visualization. It reminds us that happiness is already here. Instead of seeking happiness in achievements, possessions, or other people, we start to see that happiness can be found in the small, simple things in life, things we already have. When we experience life with this gratitude and peace, it creates a strong foundation. We become less driven by comparison, less affected by the ups and downs of life, and more at ease with where we are. It's a kind of happiness that isn't dependent on anything outside of us. It's a happiness that comes from a deep appreciation of the present. So, by practicing negative visualization, we're not just preparing for loss. We're training ourselves to live fully. We're learning to cherish the good things, to build resilience for hard times, and to find peace within. It's a simple technique with the power to transform how we see the world, bringing us closer to true happiness. As we wrap up, let's take a moment to reflect on the true power of negative visualization and how it can change the way we experience life. Negative visualization isn't just a mental exercise, It's a perspective shift that can bring a profound sense of peace, resilience, and gratitude. When we imagine life without the things we love, we become more grounded, more aware of the good that's already present. We begin to see our lives as full, even if there are things we're still working toward or challenges we're facing. Imagine living each day with a little less worry, less fear of losing what you have, and more appreciation for what's right in front of you. That's the beauty of this Stoic technique. It helps us focus on the here and now, showing us that happiness doesn't have to be something we chase. It can be something we cultivate within ourselves. Practicing negative visualization regularly can change how we react to life's ups and downs. Instead of being swept up by desire for more or fear of loss, we find ourselves in a place of calm contentment. We recognize that we're lucky to have what we do, and we realize that even if things change, we have the strength to adapt and find joy in new ways. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or focused on what's missing, try this Stoic practice. Pause, take a breath, and imagine life without some of the comforts you have now. Let that brief exercise bring you back to the present, back to gratitude, and back to a sense of peace. Thank you for joining me on this journey through negative visualization. If you found this message helpful, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing this video. And remember, sometimes happiness isn't about having more, it's about appreciating what we already have.